Welcome to Seat Time, everybody, the off-road show that brings you all the results, news, and online shenanigans that make being online a good time. We'd like to say thank you to Fly Racing for their support of Seat Time. Please go check them out at flyracing.com.
Welcome to Seat Time, everybody. So this is episode 84. For those of you who have absolutely no idea why you're staring at me with this sexy older gentleman on my couch with these awesome dirt bike jerseys behind me, well, it's because you've tuned into Seat Time. So Seat Time, it's an off-road podcast, webcast, however you want to look at it, listen to it. You can find us on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes. Those are all the fun places you can find us. But if you want to know who I am, I'm Brian Pierce. Technically, I'm the host of all the shenanigans that happen here on Seat Time. This lovely gentleman next to me is Brian Story. So those of you who do not know who Brian Story is, he is the owner of SMS Racing. He's got so many ties in the motorcycle industry, it makes it feel like you should label it as XXX because he knows so many people that it makes it feel awkward. And then, of course, we've got Coach Seiji on tonight as well. As we've talked about, we've been getting a lot of questions lately with a lot of nutrition, training, supplements with all the riders that we've talked to try to really find out what benefits them the most and how they listen to their body and then translate that into a good training program, a good nutrition program, and a good race program. And so we got in touch with one of the best guys out there to do that. And now, granted, he is obviously much more moto and supercross oriented with a lot of the work that he does and the riders that he works with, but there's no reason that cannot relate and that we can't take some of the things that he could teach us. And I would imagine he even has a couple tricks up his sleeve on how maybe to orient those a little bit for off-road. So as Steven's going to fix any technical difficulties that come up during the show, Brian and I are going to talk about things that have been going on a little bit before we bring on the coach. So, Brian, it's episode 84. We just had Supercross wrap up. It's happened in the past. We have been at your shop and done episodes. So since then, and we've had Supercross East, what's been going on?
Lots of Supercross, lots of local racing, lots of racing. I mean, just it's been the busy season. The springtime is when everybody gets out to play on the national level and the local level. It's just when the weather's good, there's some moisture in the soil and
moisture.
So I've been doing double time between the local races and then back and forth to all the East Coast Supercrosses, working with our race team, and had to struggle through a week.
The past 2 years, we've been at your shop as you guys were getting ready for Dallas, as y'all were getting ready for Dallas, and I was getting ready to go hang out and have a couple adult beverages, watch some badass racing. So, done it 2 years now with this team. You going to do it for a third, or have you not figured out how many gray hairs are attributed just to the team?
There's quite a bit of gray hair attributed to the team, and boy, it feels like the wheels fly off in lots of directions in my life when we're doing the Supercross thing. But it's hard.
It can't help too having a 20-year-old son.
Yeah,
I remember what I was like. So I mean, for that to be what it is.
Right. So having a freshman in college to go along with that. But anyway, it's hard not to live vicariously through the guys. It's pretty addictive being there at Supercross. It's really enjoyable, and I take a lot of pride in building the motorcycles. Me and the guys at the shop do the motors, and we do the mapping, and we do the suspension. We handle everything ourselves and work with the riders, and it's really great stuff. It wears you out, trying to do that and life and run the store. But if everything falls together, I think we'll be there again next year.
Nice. Well, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it because that at least means that we get another episode at your shop.
There you go. We'll be back to kick off Dallas Supercross again next year.
As always, I think we should find a way to step it up and either do it like Friday night and see if we can get some more national guys to come.
I bet if we planned ahead, maybe we could pull some more guys in.
Opposed to the day before.
Clearly those episodes weren't wild ass enough.
Yeah, I think we should definitely get more interesting.
I think we had a person get run over on a ATC 70 in the parking lot by a golf cart when the last episode ended.
Yeah, and Josh's truck broke for whatever reason.
Right. So those episodes clearly need to be bigger.
Yeah, I think he's right. All right, so why is this lovely older gentleman, not older, well, he's older because he's older than me. Why is he on the show right now? Well, because of the fact that Brian Story is a pro in Texas and throughout the world, actually, because he's raced all over the world. But he is super fast, he's super healthy, and he's been super fast and super healthy for a very, very long time. And I think that longevity is a for whatever reason, is much more prevalent in the off-road world. So I wanted to get some of Brian's perspective on some of the things that he's done in training and the way that he's eaten and the way that he's ridden throughout his life to continue with the success that he's had up till now. So, Coach, while we have you, and it looks like Steven's got some video working on our end, just give us a little bit of a preface on how you got into the position you're in now as such a, I would say, icon as a dirt bike trainer.
I went to school for training. I went to University of Texas for kinesiology and exercise physiology. I was lucky enough to be a professional athlete across several sports, and one of them was mountain biking. And I was getting older, and I was slowing down on a mountain bike, and it was just like something somebody said. Somebody said, well, if you enjoy riding trails and you don't want to slow down, you should get on a dirt bike. So I went to the dirt bike store, and I just kind of noticed a dude behind the counter was limping around, the owner of the store. I was like, hey, man, I can fix your knee. And he was like, oh, yeah, well, if you can fix my knee, I'll give you a dirt bike. So that's how the whole thing got started.
That's a pretty good deal there.
Did you get the dirt bike?
Placement, and I trained the owner for a while, and he got to ride his dirt bike again. You know, he's in his mid-60s, you know, wanted to do Baja, and he actually took me to Baja with him almost immediately. So I got to do all that. And I was still training other athletes. I was really heavily into training cyclists and football players and mountain bike racers and triathletes. And the same guy, I don't know how it happened, but I ended up going to a U.S. Open of Supercross in October. And I had never seen a Supercross. And I was pretty stoked. It was really sick. And on the way home, I just so happened to sit next to Heath Voss. Now, I didn't know who he was.
Right.
And started asking me, he just was super friendly, you know, Texan guy, and started asking me questions. And I told him what I did, and he was asking me all these training questions, and I still really didn't know who he was. And by the time we landed, he had pretty much asked me if he could hire me, and I wasn't really thinking about it. And I didn't know how to do it, but I just threw it out there because I thought he would say no. I said, well, for me to quit training all the guys that I have now, you're going to have to pay me enough money to drop all my other clients. And he took the deal, so I was almost instantaneously a full-time motocross trainer.
So did you actually drop all your other clients?
Yeah, it took me 2 weeks. Everybody I trained I had at that point for almost 12 years, so it was a big decision, but they knew that I didn't like to be inside, and when you train other athletes, you're mostly inside of a gym, which
right.
I hate. And to be able to do motocross, I mean, what are you doing? You know, you're at a track, or you ride a bicycle, you go swimming. You know, even lifting weights kind of inside bothered me, which is why CrossFit was cool with me, because you almost do it outside. There's no air conditioning, you know, that's part of the deal. So it all worked out, and I think this is my 9th or 10th year, and I just been really fortunate to line up with the right people and always train good athletes, and it's been really cool. Like, I can't complain at all.
Yeah, no, it sounds pretty awesome. When we talk about Heath Voss, Brian, that's like back in your day, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. That's still more recent than my day.
Yeah, we could say Brian has put. What was it you said that you race guys now that weren't born when you raced your first pro race?
I still race locally in the pro class, and I do motocross and off-road. I raced a motocross this weekend, and even during the supercross season, I race whenever I get the chance. When we went to Daytona, I raced the Ricky Carmichael Amateur National the 2 days after in the plus 35A and plus 30A classes, and ended up having to leave to go to the airport before one of my mains, but still I got every moto in that I could.
And he says that by saying that he's like, no, it's not that everything hurt. It's that I had to get to the airport.
Well, yeah, and literally I had to run through the airport still to make it on my plane, but yeah, this is my 23rd year that I've raced in a pro or A class in one form or another. Everything, you know, from riding international 6 days for Team USA to I did 2 supercrosses back in the early 90s and raced a lot of arena cross back then and just done a little bit of everything, and I still race every chance I get. Like I said, even this past Sunday, I went and found a local motocross for me and my son to race at. It was his birthday Sunday, so we found somewhere to go play.
Man, that's pretty awesome. Well, Seiji, do you still as a trainer, I'd imagine you kind of throw your leg over a dirt bike every now and again. But do you ever?
I love to ride.
Okay, you still get out then and actually get to play around and stuff.
Yeah, dude. There's a national caliber track right outside my front door. There's a woods trail right on my other pasture, and there's a supercross track about 20 yards away. So I have it all at my house.
So what you're saying is that we're coming to your house for the next Seat Time episode?
Yeah, like it's kind of weird. Like I don't advertise. I don't like to advertise just because I don't know. I built all this for my clients.
Oh yeah, no, I'm kidding. But at the same time.
No. Like I have industry people over. It's super fun and it's weird because I train only supercross and motocross riders. It's not by choice. It's just you guys know the industry. It's really hard to make money in GNCC. I mean, it's just not televisable. I think is why the money's not there. But I prefer to ride woods. Like I used to ride a lot of motocross, and an amateur motocross race, you're there all day. Maybe your moto's 10 minutes, then you sit down for an hour and maybe get to ride 8 minutes. Or if you go to a woods race, you're riding an hour, and then you get to ride an hour again. So I like woods riding way better because I come from a mountain bike background.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I would much rather ride for an hour than ride for sprint for 8 minutes.
Interesting.
So this year, and I have really good access to getting bikes. Like it's fairly easy for me to get bikes. And this year, I'm kind of forcing myself because I built a race bike and it's only good for woods. And I got rid of my motocross bike, so now I don't have a choice. So now if I want to go race, I have to go do a woods race because I don't have a motocross bike right now.
Well, sounds like we need to get you hooked up.
Yeah.
We need to find an off-road race for you.
We're at all the TC Star races, TSEC stuff. They've got Torx, man. Texas is full of stuff.
We got Torx down here. All the Torx, like 3 of the Torx race courses are within 30 minutes of where I live right now. What sucks is I work motocross, supercross, and I have to go to every race.
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
I'm never home on the weekend. I would say that's the biggest negative of my job is I'm required to go to the races with my clients, so I never get to race myself.
Yep. Well, we got a circuit for you up here around the Dallas area called Toro that races October, November, December.
Smartest man older than me.
That would be probably your only time off, so we might have to drag you up here.
I show up. I have to be in California October 1st.
Oh man!
For how long? The whole winter?
Until February 1st.
Oh my gosh!
Until everything heads back to the East Coast, huh?
Yeah, like the Supercross testing part of the year.
And that's because of the fact that most of those guys train and live in California at that time. So then at that point, all your clients are out there. I mean, is that kind of
I gotta say, hats off to you, man. Like you're doing a privateer effort. I don't know where you're based. I assume Texas.
Yeah, we're actually up in McKinney, and then his shop's over in Denton.
Yeah, dude. Like you're doing it the hard way for sure. If you took the top, say, 10% of the racers, they're all in like one zip code in Southern California in the winter. And so you're developing a new motorcycle. All the factories are there. All the motor shops are there. All the suspension shops are there. You go to the track in the winter, suspension guys at the track, motor guys at the track. So it makes it so much easier to develop a motorcycle. And it's to gauge your speed, you got to ride with the guys that you're riding with.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah, and we face that challenge. That's a tough one for us, and there's only a couple of good Supercross tracks up here in North Texas that we can go test at as well. And
you need to call me because I got one right there.
Well, hey, maybe this next winter, maybe we'll find time to come visit.
Coach Seiji is going to sponsor the SMS team.
It's all orange clay too. It's a really sweet red orange clay.
Yeah, be careful what you offer here.
Yeah, we will show up at your doorstep. It'll be unfortunate for you and your family. But so it's interesting what you're saying of the fact that you're over in California from October to February, and we hear a lot. I listen to a ton of like Pulp MX, the motocross show, and the DMXS show, and that's all they talk about is how some of these guys get to a point that they can live in Florida because of the fact that the teams, all the huge manufacturers, all that kinds of stuff, they live and breathe in California. So it's interesting, and they always talk about how it's interesting those guys can make it happen. And I guess they just get to a point where they're like, well, this is where I live, this is where I train, this is where I do what I do.
It just makes everything you have to do, I guess it makes everything you have to do with developing a bike easier. but it's also where all a high percentage of the fast people live. So you're always riding with faster people.
Right.
Reason I think that people like Andrew go to Texas or Chad Reed and Weimer and all those guys that go to Florida is California has no humidity.
Right.
It might be 100, but it doesn't feel like the East Coast outdoor races where it's 100 and like 80% humidity. So
I think breathing in a condensed paper bag.
Yeah, they have to have the humidity and the heat combined, and it's also a financial reason. California has heinous income taxes. Florida and Texas have no state income tax.
Boom.
So, and the property's cheap, so you can actually afford to buy your own place and have your own track, like I did here, where there's no way you could do it in California. Plus, there's too many rules. So it's always kind of boggled my mind. I mean, I understand the fast people living there and the development of the bike, but it's boggled my mind why the industry persists to 90% of it be right there in Southern California for the whole year. Like it kind of doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. It would make a lot more sense in Texas or Florida because of the humidity and because of the no income tax, and you do see all the guys once the West Coast switches to the East, they do move to Texas and Florida for the rest of the year pretty much. So
that's like a handful of people.
Yeah,
like if you're not making some serious money, you're pretty much stuck in California.
Yeah. So there's quite a few though that make it, and I made it out this year to a couple of the training facilities there in Georgia and Florida. But still, there were only a handful. I mean, just a few of the top riders were there because most of them still are in California.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting. So one of we were talking about having Coach Seiji on is because of the fact that he has such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to training riders, helping them figure out nutrition, supplements, what they're going to take to what a supplement is to supplement some of the calories that you're intaking and some of the food that you eat as nutrition, and then all the training that goes along with that. And so I think that's kind of where we're going to segue everything, just so we don't get too off track. Because
hold on, guys, you're cutting out. I'm trying to get it back.
No worries. So we don't want it to seem like we want to talk too much moto and supercross. But of course, we do have to say thank you very much to Fly Racing, as we kind of they have been a fantastic sponsor of Seat Time. They have been there since the very beginning. Fly Racing has been making huge efforts to push in the off-road market lately. I don't know if you've looked around at some of the series that are sponsored in the off-road world, but they're pretty much all sponsored by Fly Racing, and they have tons of riders out there that are riding in Fly Racing gear. And it's not just because of the fact that they make high-quality gear. Nowadays, people can find a way to cut corners and be like, oh, well, no, we make high-quality gear, and we save this much, we make this much on overhead, all that kinds of stuff. But I don't think it's just about making good gear. I think it's about making good connections and being part of a family. And in off-road, because we are so small but want to feel so big, it really is about having the right people in your corner. And I think I'm fantastically happy with the fact that Fly Racing, Dale Spangler, and a lot of the other people there at WPS have been so supportive of Seat Time. So we'd be just as floored if you went and checked them out. Flyracing.com is where you can go find out more information. Of course, it's May, so it's going to be summer. It's almost summer in Texas, so you get yourself some good Vinny gear for sure. The new Kinetic Mesh is fantastic. We get to see Andrew Short's been riding the crap out of it on the BTO sports team. It's awesome stuff, so we really appreciate it. Go check them out, flyracing.com. Thanks for your support, guys. Okay, so it's such a, I think personally, it's very, very hard to say this is nutrition, this is supplements, and this is training. There's so much more to talk about than just those three things. But I think they're three broad words that work really well when a lot of racers are like, or a lot of riders are just kind of like wanting to make adjustments and feel better and feel more fit when on the bike. So by no means, Coach, am I trying to say that we should dive into every little subject, but I think that there's a lot of people out there that have some minute questions to kind of work on some of the tidbit stuff. And then as well, beyond that, we can kind of, I think more broad. I feel that I've got a fair bit of knowledge just from the CrossFit background. I've been riding for so long. I think that Brian's got that too. So if there was a number one thing that you've told one rider or multiple riders over and over and over again that nobody seems to catch on to or doesn't actually listen about when it comes to any of those three things, what do you think that would be?
I would say for me, the number one thing that I tend to have to repeat with new clients is that fat's not the enemy, sugar's the enemy.
Okay.
People, especially my age or maybe even older, I'm 44, so I was taught the same way. I was taught not to eat fat. Even up through college, I was told it was bad. So number one would be fat's not the enemy. Fat's actually fuel. Sugar's the enemy. Number two would be supplement is just that. It's a supplement to a well-balanced and wholesome diet. It's not going to fix a bad diet. I mean, you know what I mean? So a supplement will help you if the rest of your diet is sound. That would be number two. And number three is there's nothing wrong with drinking water. Yeah, I don't understand, you know, if the point of intaking a fluid is to keep your plasma volume up, but for some reason, especially young riders, it's like you go to Loretta's, they don't want to drink water. They always have to drink, you know, some kind of sports drinks, which, you know, almost always have extra sugar in them. So
Yeah.
those are the three things that I find myself repeating. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying one diet plan or supplementation plan works for everybody. By no means do I say that. But I would say in the last 5 years, since I've been really paying attention to my athletes' diet, that in general, for most of the people that I work with, if they would switch from, you know, high carb, high glycemic index to more fat, you know, good fat intake, a little bit higher protein, stay on water, you know, you don't have to drink all these sugary things all the time, and kind of almost eliminate or at least reduce your dependency on supplements to intake most of your calories. Those really help. Dude, it's amazing. You get these athletes, and it's like 40% of their calories comes from supplements. You know, if you're a bodybuilder, I might get that, but I don't get it as a motorsport person.
So you're saying if all you eat is donuts and tacos, a supplement's not going to fix everything?
Yeah, exactly. And it's really strange. Like, I always make.
I wonder why you asked that, Brian.
Yeah, like, think about you guys. Like, Brian, you know, you race, I assume, you know, high performance motorcycles.
I am.
You know, hopefully you're not dumping just crappy fuel in it. Like, it's weird that I'll go to Loretta's especially, and I'll see these families buy 5-gallon jugs of fuel that's like $25 a gallon. You know, and they're not going to put pump gas in their race bike. No way. But then they'll hand their kid Pop-Tarts. That's what I don't get.
Gosh,
you know?
it's funny that I don't think that enough people think about our bodies as engines. That we are a machine. We are a very well developed machine. Every part of our body has been evolved to work the way that it works. And since we've been developed in the sense of evolving, you know, food has evolved as well, but the manufacturing of food and the way that people think that they need to sell food and market food and all that kinds of stuff, that evolution has completely jacked up our train of thought on how we should, as you put it, fuel those bodies and these machines that we have. And I completely agree.
You're getting into things that, you know, like I used to kind of struggle with this as a trainer, and I'm not saying I'm a superstar, but, you know, I get put on websites, and if I voice my opinion about the food industry or the Department of Agriculture or any of that stuff, dude, I'll get like more than half hate mail. You know? So
people only hate it because it's the truth.
Yeah, it's frustrating to me. You know, I've had clients fight me at the beginning, like you know, Andrew is one of those people, and you know, he switched over and he loves it, you know, and he's teaching it to his family now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good point. You say switched over, like right there. I think people out there are going to be like, what does that mean? They want to know, what does switched over mean? So say Andrew Short was eating badly because he was eating this, and now he's eating well because he's eating this. Just so that way people have a better, you know.
Okay, in the most general terms.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, in the most general terms, especially in sports nutrition. So I went to college beginning in the 80s, you know. Higher institution of education, and I was taught exactly what the Department of Agriculture told us, you know, and it was like 12. It sounds ridiculous to me now, but the food pyramid was something like 12 servings of grains or breads, you know, and that was the bottom, and then at the top it was like 1 or 2 servings of meat or protein. So it was like this crazy, really high carbohydrate, really, you know, I would say mid-level protein, and really low fat. You know, so the kind of logic was, well, if you don't want to be fat, then don't eat fat. That was kind of the predominant logic. And if you want to be super lean, ripped guy doing, endurance sports, carbohydrates your main source of fuel. Carbohydrate doesn't have fat in it, so it's really, really, heavy in carbohydrates. So very generally, it was high carbohydrate, low fat. The switch, as I call it, if you just want to talk about macronutrients, is high fat, low carbohydrate. You're just flipping that nutritional period upside down,
Okay.
And, you guys are a wide open show, so I'll go ahead and just kind of say what I've been thinking for a while.
Absolutely.
Who made the food pyramid? The Department of Agriculture made the food pyramid. Of course, they're going to have agriculture be the base of the pyramid.
You are a smart gentleman.
Of course I want. And then they were bashing the dairy people. And the dairy people wanted to make their own pyramid. Anyways, it's politics and it's public policy. But the switch to me means, like I stated before, you stop viewing fat as the reason you're getting fat, and you start viewing fat as fuel, and you start viewing high glycemic or quickly body sugar changing sugars as the enemy. Fats. If you ask somebody why they're training, even like a guy off the street, a normal guy is going to say, "Well, I want to burn fat." Okay, so my dumb logic is, well, if you want to burn fat, you got to eat fat, so you get good at burning fat. How are you going to get good at burning fat if you don't eat fat? That's like the simple logic for me. And if you're constantly dumping carbohydrates in, what are you going to get good at?
Burning carbohydrates, right.
And carbohydrates, you can only store so much fuel. Fats, even the skinniest guy in the world could run around the equator on fat, but you can't. The balk that everybody talks about is when you run out of carbohydrate. You're not going to run out of fat, So it's a big switch, and if I were to drink a couple more glasses of wine, I would sound almost like a conspiracy theory guy about,
We should have had you prep for the show like we prep for the show.
But the way I was taught when I was a young racer coming up was exactly what you said. That carbohydrates was where it was at, and that's the way it was beaten into all of us for so long, and it's just amazing that they were that far off, and I can see what you're saying, how it might have been motivated by other sources.
Yeah, that's like all I can think about when I think back to my dad and I going to races and stuff is just like, all right, how much pasta can we throw into a bowl and eat? The night before a race to try to figure out, because of the fact that we need to carb up. And I guess, the kind of like what you're saying is that, that probably isn't the right answer, is that we need to
and so many people are still there. So many people are seeing how much pasta they can eat the night before the race, and they think that's going to determine how well they make it through. And most of them aren't hydrated well enough just to
process.
Yeah, most of them are gonna have their bonk, or they're gonna fall apart because they weren't hydrated enough, or they were full of sugar, and they're worried about stuffing as much pasta in them as they can.
Right, and a lot of times when we break down that pasta, it turns into sugar, doesn't it?
Oh, don't get me going here.
I ain't no scientist.
I'm no scientist.
Steven's getting us connected back over here. So I think it's really interesting, though, because of the fact that what he's talking about is the fact that we probably need to focus more on fats and proteins and things like that. So a lot of that is going to come from eating meats, like the red meats and other type of meats that would be high in protein.
And he's talking about
super high in protein.
And he talked a lot about how sugar is the enemy, and sugar really is the enemy. I know just from getting to know my body, when you've run as many races as I have over as long a period of time as I have, I've experimented with all kinds of different hydrations. From your Gatorades and Powerades and some of your mixed drinks that come from your supplement suppliers. And I generally, when I'm at a race, I will drink 3 bottles of water for every 1 bottle of a sports drink or mixed rehydrate type, supplement drink. And I've found that I perform better if I've got 3 times as much water as I do any kind of sports drink in me. I'll get less arm pump.
Think about what we were just saying. Sports drinks only have a carbohydrate in them. You know what I'm saying? Like at higher intensities of output, yes, you're going to burn a fraction of, your fraction of fuel that comes from carbohydrate goes up as your intensity goes up. But it's like the same thing like we were saying, sports drinks only have sugar in them, carbohydrate. If you want to get better at burning sugar, then keep dumping in the sugar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's okay. So if people were to go, all right, I have been chugging a lugging on all this pasta every Saturday night before a big race on Sunday. That is not the idea behind it, because you don't want that many carbohydrates. You want more fat.
No, in the short term.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think that's a big thing is people want to know in that question, because I immediately go, okay, so, and I haven't been eating a lot of pasta because I'm gluten free now because of our son. But so how do racers, how do people out there that are the C-class heroes make that mental adjustment and then that physical adjustment in their actual diet?
Yeah, I don't want to say carbohydrates are bad. I mean,
right.
You need carbohydrates for the higher intensity output. It's just your source. So now you got to explain glycemic index. So pasta, bread, those are very high glycemic index, which means they raise your blood sugar really fast, which makes your body dump insulin to bring the sugar down.
Okay.
That's the reaction you want to avoid. Anytime your blood sugar has sharp rises and falls, which is what happens when you eat a high glycemic food, it's a big stressor to your body. Sets up a lower blood sugar, actually, because your body isn't that quick, and it dumps the insulin, and your blood sugar ends up being lower than when you started. Carbohydrate's not bad. It's just you want to get low glycemic carbs, which are basically vegetables.
Vegetables,
okay. They absorb slower in your gut. They raise your blood sugar a lot slower. They don't cause an insulin spike. So, I got to go backwards a little bit. Back in the day, they would preach this thing called carbo loading, which if you did it hardcore, you would, if your race was Saturday, let's say, you would eat really heavy protein Wednesday and Thursday, and you would do these crazy rides to deplete all your, muscle sugar stores, glycogen stores. And then, like you were saying, Friday, you just, chow down on some bread and pasta and just suck up all these carbohydrates into your muscles. That actually did work. It was a really harsh way of doing it. It was very stressful to your body to do it that way. The new way of thinking, at least for me, is that you become very efficient at burning fat. So, on rare occasions and emergencies and really high intensity effort, yeah, you do touch those carbohydrate stores. But since you're not depleting them ever, because most of the volume of your work works on the fat metabolism, then there isn't this crazy need to rejuice them so bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
None of my guys at the pro level have any need to carbo load. They don't change their diet. Their meal plan is the same on Tuesday as it is on Friday, and they don't have a carbohydrate bonking problem because they are efficient at burning fat.
Okay. It's interesting that you say it the way that you did, that your guys don't eat different from a Tuesday to a Friday, and I think that's one of the bigger questions we had from Tiffany was, what's the best thing to eat before a race? And, specifically she called out the day of and the day before, and how long should you eat it? Or how long before should you eat it? And it's kind of my assumption of what you're saying on that is that shouldn't be the case as long as you're, kind of following what you're preaching on the fact of like treating your body to eat fat well, so that way it doesn't kill all the carbohydrates until you need them.
Yeah. So, and I realize that 90% of the time I'm around elite athletes whose job it is to train. Like, they don't have another job.
Right.
For the average guy, what I would consider a listener for your show, they have jobs. And the only change that I would personally make is, you want to try to match your energy intake to your energy output. So definitely on, I would say most people cram some crazy amount of work on the weekends and a moderate amount of work on the weekdays. Well, you want your total caloric intake to match that.
Right.
So, of course, you're going to eat heavier on the days that you are training. But again, going back to physiology, all of us have enough fat storage to last quite a while. In a temporary caloric negative day, if you follow the diet, to the T that my guys do, this sounds crazy as a trainer to even come out of my mouth because I was trained the opposite. If Andrew Short, because of a bike issue, taking up 2 hours in the middle of his day and pushing his training time back, if he doesn't eat from breakfast until dinner one day, it doesn't affect his performance at all because he's so used to being in a fat metabolism state that there's plenty there. If he were to bonk on carbohydrate because he jacked up, say, 2 days of not eating enough low glycemic carbs, yeah, he would feel it. But it's not a energy bonking. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? Your body's a lot more resilient than that if you train it the way to be resilient. I don't train as much as my guys. I would love to, but I don't. So sometimes on Fridays, especially when my workload is lower, I'll actually not eat on purpose from Thursday night till Friday night.
Whoa.
And still do my training, still go ride my bike, still lift weights. Just as kind of an experiment for me to know that, I'm okay. I'm still riding just as fast with my clients as I was the day that I was eating. And there are studies that say that it actually increases your insulin sensitivity to do that occasionally.
So Coach, I've always worked, taught, and helped the people around me, and I did this from learning with my own body. I feel like it's much more important, leading up to a race, to be worried about making sure you're properly hydrated than it is about cramming enough food in you to make it through the race. I feel like I see way more people, and I feel myself more affected from not enough hydration than from not enough fuel put in my body from not cramming enough.
Yeah, you're right on the money for most people. For most people, I would say that's a bigger issue for sure. It's crazy. Like if you ask an average person how much water they drink in a day, I'm going to say that, let's say 7 out of 10 people that we run into every day are chronically dehydrated.
Yeah.
Like there's no way they drink enough water. And it just it's super shocking to me to talk to a 16-year-old athletic person and say, hey, it's 4 o'clock. How much water have you had during school all the way till now? And dude, they don't even remember it because it's not enough,
Yeah, typically it's like most people have only 12 to 24 ounces of water, but then the problem with that is they had 1 to 2 energy drinks, maybe a cup of coffee, and then all kinds of crazy crap that needed to be, digested. Yeah. And then so through that they're using up a lot of their water supply, and then so I think one of the bigger things for me was when somebody was just like, and it's not exact science, but it's like if you have 1 Coke or 1 soda, or 1 cup of coffee, you need to have 2 cups of water to kind of equal that out. I think that's exactly kind of to what you were saying, where if you have one kind of sports drink or one kind of hydration type drink, you say you have 3,
I'll have 3 bottles of water for every bottle of Powerade or Gatorade or mixed type drink.
And I think that's the right way to do it, because not only are you putting in all that sugar, but you need to digest all that stuff. And when you digest, your body gets warmer and it's got to do all that stuff, and it's going to burn more water to do it. Obviously, we're speaking from the non-scientific aspect of it, and Coach can kind of just throw out all the words that mean something to you.
And honestly, I feel like being someone who still races motocross and off-road, so everything from, I think our motos this weekend at the local track were only about 8 minutes long to doing 2-hour cross-country races. I feel like my body actually performs better at its best when I'm really well hydrated, but I don't have a lot in my stomach. I actually eat pretty light on race days. I try to eat just really light, easy to eat stuff that's easy on my stomach and easy for my body to absorb. And I don't feel full when I get ready to go racing by any means. I don't eat a lot on race days.
Okay, yeah, Coach, how does that translate to what you teach your guys and how they kind of prepare for race day?
Yeah, like that's what I was saying, and you guys hit it right on the money. If your diet and your training, it's the training too. Like we definitely, especially in the winter, we do a lot of training that's specifically to enhance fat metabolism. So if your diet and training are geared toward using fat, as much as you can into high intensity range as you can, and only using carbohydrates at the highest ranges, what you're saying is true. There's actually not a need to have to eat this crazy amount of carbohydrate to replace what you're burning on the spot, because you're not actually burning that much. And I can't get into it because it's a long story, but I ate the exact opposite for the entirety of my cycling career. And people knew me. Like, people knew that, oh, you better bring some food because Sage is coming, because every 3 hours he's going to get shaky and get all bitchy because he hadn't eaten. And that's like, I'm not even training. I'm just walking around. So if you're high carb, and training to be a carbohydrate burner, you're going to burn carbohydrate sitting at your computer. Like, it's just, that's what you're doing. And so if you think about a typical race day for somebody, especially motocross people, high intensity effort, go race, sit down, wait, if you kind of compute the amount of minutes that you're working out or racing in a day versus the amount of minutes in the day that you're awake, well, if you could just burn predominantly fat in all the minutes that you aren't racing or working out, the amount of food you actually need to power your actual exercise outside of fat is super low. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like super low. So, it's a big change for me. I'm not saying that I thought this my entire career. I actually, I put my foot in my mouth when CrossFit and I would say I call it kind of backwards technology, diet and training came around. Dude, I was the first guy on the internet calling BS on everything, because I came from college and thought I knew all this stuff, and I paid a lot of money to get educated, and they told me the opposite. I got to be in my late 30s, and I started gaining weight, even though I was like training all day. So this is actually queued up from personal experience. And one day, dude, I got sick of researching diet. Like, I got sick of it because I could find very well documented, funded, supposedly double-blind studies, pushing every kind of diet on the planet. So I kind of went off the deep end, and I just went the exact opposite of the way I was eating. It was ridiculous, dude. I would wake up and eat 6 pieces of bacon, 3 eggs, all the stuff they told me not to eat. And the more fat I ate, the smaller I got. And like, it's on my blog. People have read my blog, my little story about, I just got sick of reading studies, and it is opposite of what most people think, and it does take a leap of faith to do it. But I don't, for whatever it's worth, I was educated, 10 years in college on this stuff. I practiced the opposite diet for, I would say, 17 of my 25 years of training, and I didn't learn this in school. I just experimented on myself. Then I started reading books on it. Then I started looking up the research. Then I applied it to my clients, and it's worked for me. So I think it is opposite. It's like, I think anybody our age, or I don't know what the age would be, maybe 25 or older, is going to call it BS,
I wonder, too, like, how many people out there go, okay, and because of my involvement in CrossFit in the past 3 years, I've heard, I don't myself strict myself to paleo just for, but there are people that do, they live by it, and especially with Paleo Zone, they're specifically putting nutrients, the only nutrients their body needs to perform, and that's kind of the idea behind it. But you're talking, I think, and part of that is a lot of people, you see guys just totally, that's all they eat for breakfast is bacon and eggs. But what a lot of people that don't realize is that they understand that what you're saying, they're burning fat. So a lot of people be like, oh, I don't need to eat all this other stuff. I just need to eat bacon and eggs. Well, the problem is you still need to burn the fat. So there's the training part that comes along with that. So you've now kind of turned the tables a little bit on what people are thinking about on eating. So with the training aspect of it, I think we could touch on the CrossFit because of the fact that we've had a lot of questions about it. We've had a lot of questions on. They've seen I've been doing it. I know a lot of friends have been doing it. Off-road racers, especially in the professional level now, making tons of posts about being CrossFit. Now, I've drinking the CrossFit Kool-Aid. I think it's one of the coolest things out there. I dig it. I love it. But you're a coach. You own a CrossFit box. You prescribe this. I'm using this in quotes. These are not his words. But in my words, you kind of like prescribe certain CrossFit style workouts to your athletes. So give us the bug. What's up? How did it work its way into your life and into your athletes' training?
It actually came from the diet. So paleo diet or primal diet or however you want to call it. Basically, I call it caveman diet, which is,
And he doesn't just mean pterodactyl eggs because that's way too expensive to purchase and eat.
Yeah, like, dude, if you think about it, the easiest way to tell somebody any of this, without getting into schooling or education is you're acting like a caveman, right? So if it comes down to diet, you walk around your grocery store and you picture, if I can't kill it or pick it, then I'm not going to eat it.
Right.
So, that's kind of the simplified version. And then
see, my friend Scratch is always like, when he goes to a buffet, he's hunting and gathering. Technically.
Yeah, it's a hunter and gatherer.
So he's like, why can't I eat a buffet? I'm hunting and gathering it from the same buffet line. I was like, that's not the way it works, buddy.
Yeah.
But he tries.
It's like interesting because then I just took that mentality and again, I didn't do it for my professional athletes at first. I just did it for myself. Caveman, what did he do? So he got up, he walked around. He just walked around. He either was picking and gathering or he was looking for something to kill. And then when it came time to kill, he had to sprint his balls off to kill it. Then he had to pick the thing up and haul it back. So
that's
that,
a lot
in a
of work.
nutshell, is a lot of low-intensity cardio, long, low-intensity cardio with, short bursts of high-intensity work output, followed by lifting very heavy and moving that heavy object a long ways. And so I experimented on myself. I came from a cardio-only background. I was had toothpick arms, and, all I could do is ride my bike. I could ride my bike really well. And, I've always kind of looked at myself as a good athlete, but in my mind, after looking at it that way, yeah, I might have been a great cyclist, but if the earth caved in and the crust of the earth split open and the apocalypse was coming, I'd be the first person to die. So that's
but you could ride a bicycle away from anybody.
Yeah, that's the way I kind of look at it. And motocross actually plays very well into it. So if you think about motocross, I'm taking a person at a high level in the sport, and I'm trying to train them to be 1% better than they were last year, doing only one thing, which is riding a dirt bike. So the CrossFit thing doesn't work well for them in most parts of the year, where we're specifically trying to get better at riding a dirt bike fast. So it doesn't work well for those times. What it works well for is in the off season, when we're broadly trying to increase our work capacity or our fitness. And in my mind, CrossFit makes you super durable. You know what I mean? If you're familiar with CrossFit, there's two outcomes. I mean, either you become crazy durable or you break and you leave. I mean, that's the truth of it, right?
Yep,
absolutely.
And if you break, it's not because the methodology of CrossFit is at fault. You break because you broke your form or you didn't use common sense or whatever. It's not, I don't think the CrossFit methodology has a fault. I think if somebody gets hurt, it's because they aren't using form or their coach didn't explain it to them right, or they just refuse. They're chasing a number instead of chasing good form. So the biggest thing, this is why I got into CrossFit. So, again, I was the first guy on the internet blowing it up, saying it was stupid. I actually went to a box in Costa Rica, not understanding where I was. I saw a lady, probably in her mid-50s, jump on a box, and I had a client with me, and I said, that's the stupidest shit I ever seen. And then I had a client, he was only 19 at the time, he's a professional lights class rider, and he said it. He goes, I couldn't jump on that box. And I thought about it. I was like, well, and I made an excuse for him. I said, well, you've had a torn ACL and a broken femur. Of course you couldn't jump on that box. Well, I said it really loud, and this trainer came by, and he said, oh, that lady's had a hip replacement and a broken femur and an ACL.
Yeah, what's wrong with your guy?
Yeah, your guy's just 19, bitch.
So it was like a real eye-opener for me. I was like, wow, And so I experimented on myself, and dude, this is one of those stories that it's a weird story. So the person who was in charge of CrossFit Costa Mesa was a guy named Chris Warden, who just so happened to have a part-time job as a motocross journalist. So he heard that I had been in there, heard that I'd been bashing CrossFit, came out to the Suzuki track one day and basically said, hey, I know some guys high up in CrossFit. would you be willing to go through their training if it was for free? The only reason being the guy who started CrossFit, Greg Glassman, would like somebody intelligent to argue with. You know, and I was like, sure. So
love
sure
to
enough,
argue.
Yeah, they paid for my certifications, and dude, I was the guy in there with the closed mind, ready to just hammer on the instructors, like so ready to bash it. And within the first 10 minutes, I was like, shit, I was wrong. You know, like he definitely explained to me in physics and science, and I bit it. Like I was like, you know, you're absolutely right. So I don't think CrossFit does a very good job of explaining this to people, but a typical kind of view of fitness, I think, for a general person would be, oh yeah, what is fitness? Fitness is, I don't know, I can do this heart rate for an hour, you know, or whatever. I have this cardio, I'm cardiovascularly fit and blah, blah, blah. Well, the CrossFit, and you guys know this, their definition of fitness is entirely different. And their definition of fitness is how much work can you do, work capacity.
Right.
You know, broken down into English is, you know, you move a heavy load over a long distance quickly. You know, that everything you can say that's what fitness is. And so what got it for me and what made me want to open a facility myself is the average guy, your listener, dude, he ain't got 12 hours a week to work out. It's just not possible. You know, he's probably or she's probably lucky to get 2 to 3 hours a week to work out. And I have no problem saying this. You know, I'll back it up with math formulas and physics if you want. But for the person who has very limited time schedule, there isn't a mode of training off the bike that is more efficient than CrossFit. And again, you have to do it correctly to avoid injury. But if you stick with CrossFit and learn the form and understand why you're doing exercises, which is all about work capacity, dude, there's not a better time. There's not a better return on your time at all. You know?
Yeah, I fully agree. As I've said, I'm 3 years in. I loved it. Started at CrossFit Strong in Dallas. They're a huge box. They do a lot of certifications, a ton of other stuff. I'm signed up for one of their mobility certifications coming up.
Yeah.
I love Kelly Starrett. I think anybody out there who is like, how do I recover just a little bit better? How do I get rid of some of these aches and some of these pains? MobilityWOD.com. Go check that out. That is, you're gonna. He's abrasive. But I think it's because of the fact that nowadays people aren't told things anymore. Everybody feels like you kind of need to baby people to get them to understand things, and that's not the way that he works. He is like, this is what's wrong. This is how you fix it. Get out there and do the work.
I went to a seminar. I think at that CrossFit Strong in Dallas, I went a little over a year ago. And again, you know, I was like, oh yeah, well, I worked at the Olympic Training Center. You know, I worked at a physical therapy clinic. I had done physical therapy for Olympians, so I had like kind of a big head. And he said something about, you know, basically creating some torque in your knee. And, you know, I went up to him and I said, well, hey, you know, I actually came back from the Olympic Training Center, and they said that that's not good. You can't create torque in your knee because it's a hinge joint. And dude, it's exactly how you said. He's super abrasive. He was like, well, they're fucking wrong.
Yeah.
You know, straight up, the Olympic Training Center is wrong. And if you want to be dumb, you can keep listening to them. If you want to be smart, you can listen to me. And I just kind of shut up, and I was like, oh, well, okay.
Cool. Yep, that's about how it goes down. So
yeah,
go check them out, mobilitywide.com. Got a ton of great stuff. I post about it all the time on Seat Time. But before we get too much into a little bit more about some of the how do we work supplements into this, as we've talked about having like a well-balanced diet, working in some training. Obviously, I personally did not want this to be a CrossFit commercial. I love it. Everybody knows that I love it. So obviously, I think that it just kind of came about that way because of the fact that we're passionate about it. And if you go try it, you get into it, I think you're going to feel the same way. So that's just my little speech on it. Go try it. Love it. It's what it is. But of course, I have to thank another one of our sponsors for helping us create this great show. So Squarespace. Any of you guys out there, we've talked about this a couple times. athletes as themselves, either you are a professional athlete or you are on the path to become a professional athlete, have to realize that you want other people to look at you as a professional. And one of those ways now, because of the fact of the way that the internet in the past 20 years has become such a great place for people to put information about themselves out there, you want the information out there to be about you to look professional. Your website is that one way that you can do it. You can send it to all your sponsors, all your maybe sponsors, all your past sponsors when you'd be like, hey, what's up? I'm still awesome. You dropped me. This is the way to do it. So squarespace.com/seattime is where you can go to check out what they have to offer. And then, of course, we have a fun little discount code, which I have not updated the lower third that you see on the screen right now. So the discount code for May is SeatTime5, because it's the 5th month in the year. So SeatTime5. Save yourself 10% off of your purchase. If you purchase a month, you save 10%. If you purchase a year, you save 10% off of the year. So obviously, the more you buy, the more you save in that sense. But I'm talking about what you buy. You don't have to buy anything because you can sign up for free for an account and you can try it out for 2 weeks. Boom. See what's happening. Now, that's if you want to get one of their very high-level accounts. You can still have an account that's like, boom, just have a fun little Squarespace blog, a couple pictures, things like that. You can do that completely for free. But when you're a paid customer, you get so much more than you're going to get anywhere else. Their customer service is 24 hours. It's off the charts. Absolutely ridiculous. Your website's going to look fantastic on absolutely any device out there. You don't have to worry about, like, how am I going to code this? Do I need to get another developer? Absolutely not. Because what you make, what you see, look great everywhere. So please go check them out. Squarespace.com/seattime. Again, if you want to save 10%, SeatTime5 is the discount code for the month of May. So I think supplements is a good way to kind of go into this, because we could talk about supplements and CrossFit all the time, but we're not a CrossFit show. We don't need to do that, right? I think you said it really well, and I tried to say it really well, but you probably said it better in the fact that supplements are just that. They supplement everything else. It's those little bits where I couldn't eat enough chicken today, so I didn't get enough protein. Or we're talking about those low glycemic index carbs where I couldn't get enough broccoli in today, so I need X. What are some of the places that you work with your athletes to make them realize when and where supplements are what they need and where they are not what they need?
Yeah, the supplement to me is like an insurance policy. So you generally know, let's just pick a diet. You're on this diet plan, so you can stick to it 80% of the time, and 20% of the time, because of travel or social obligations, you can't.
Like a happy hour where they have free beer?
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's like, I ain't gonna lie, dude, it's super hard. It's like really hard, especially like paleo type diets. It's like extremely difficult to get enough vegetables in, let's say, or non-processed meats or organic this or that. It's like, actually, you have to work at it. Like,
yeah,
it's very difficult for a normal person. And so supplements to me is like an insurance policy. So, I wouldn't say it's timing. To me, it is like an insurance policy, so you always have it in place. So my guys take the same supplements, every day, day in and day out. It's not like, oh, we got a hard workout tomorrow, so we change it. We just take the same things all the time. The minimum for my guys is fish or krill oil, a more naturally based multivitamin, and then 1 week out of the month they do probiotic. The probiotic is interesting. It's not to replace or, it's not like an insurance policy. A probiotic is basically, I give it to him because we wash all our food now. So we're not getting those beneficial bacteria that live in the dirt, which live in your gut, which is kind of the basis of your immune system. So
okay, so it's like if you were out there digging up your own carrots, kind of a situation, you would get some of the nutrients that are in the dirt that the carrot's been growing in. But now, because of the fact we don't really know what could be in the dirt, we want to wash it all off. Is that the same idea?
Yeah. So the best you could do is dunk it in the river and you would eat it. So you would get the bacteria that's in the dirt. So that's the only reason I do probiotics, is for those bacteria. So those are kind of, I would say, those supplements are kind of to offset our modern food industry. Why fish oil? Because it's omega-3. Why omega-3? Why do I have to supplement that? Because there's not grass-fed cows everywhere. Most of them are corn finished, so it changes their fat profile. Even the fish you get, is the fish farm raised? Well, if it is, it's finished off with corn, which alters their fat profile. So it's just to offset high omega-6 fats in basically corn-finished animals that we use for food. That's why we do the fish oil. And the multivitamin, you know, I don't have proof. I have a strong suspicion that the vegetables and fruits that we get in through the regular food industry are probably much lower in nutrients than they were back in the day, because the dirt's devoid of nutrients. You know, and how do you get your lawn to grow? You just dump nitrogen on it. You know, so I imagine it could be the same for produce. So I offset that with a vitamin. So, like I was saying, it's just an insurance policy against, I guess, modernization for us, me and my athletes. I guess the only other thing I could say is if I have a person who's susceptible to micro damaging their muscles during a heavy lifting phase of the year, and those people, for whatever reason, are also the same people in my experience that aren't good at eating a lot of naturally based, you know, animal protein or, you know, just through food, then during that phase of training, I will supplement protein. And I'll time it to you know, basically be taken in right after the workout. So that's basically my supplement program. Probably not, you know, there's probably supplement companies that aren't real psyched about that, but that's what I do.
I really like the way you put it, though, that it's an insurance policy. You know, people need to figure out, they've got to get their diet figured out. They can't rely on that. As I've gotten older and I've continued to race and continued to work out, I've learned more and more about my body. And just like you were saying, I'd much rather put, you know, and I'm a regular guy that has a job that I have to go to every day. And there's times of the year where I'm too busy and I get into social obligations like you talked about, and I don't get to eat and drink right, and I don't get to work out. And there's times when I say, okay, man, now I've got a break and I want to clean up my act and want to get myself feeling good and back in shape. And the first thing I do is I go to the grocery store and get my diet back right again. Because I know if I'm going to perform and I've got to make myself better and stronger, that I've got to put race fuel into my body. Yeah. And that all starts with getting the right stuff. And one of the biggest differences I made in myself, and a lot of people might laugh when they hear this, is just simply, you know, 10 years ago, I made the conscious decision to go to the store and go to the market and get food to eat there at the beginning of the week, instead of picking up breakfast at a fast food place on the way to work, instead of going to a restaurant at lunchtime, instead of picking up food on the way home. Me and my wife now, we go to the store, we get prepared, we get our breakfast and bring it with us and eat our breakfast that we've gotten at the store instead of going through the fast food chain. And we bring our lunch to work. You know, my wife makes us lunch every day, and we mix it up, everything from fruits and vegetables to salads to just plain regular old sandwiches. But we mix it up and we keep it clean and stay away from the French fries and the fast foods. And it makes an unbelievable difference in the amount of energy that I have in the afternoon. And if I eat healthy all day long, I'm a lot more likely to work out when I get home than if I ate crappy during the day. If I ate crappy during the day, I barely make it through the work day. I'm worthless the last couple of hours. And then when I get home, the last thing I want to do is you know, do something to make myself stronger. I want to go sit on my butt and do nothing. Whereas if I ate race fuel, like you said, I feel good through the entire day. I get home, I'm motivated. I can actually get something done to work on my cardio or work on my strength. I mix it up. I do strength some days so that I can feel confident when I ride, that if I make a mistake, I'm not going to get hurt. And then other days I work on cardio so that you know, so that I can actually ride hard through the race.
Yeah, one thing that I say a lot is food is therapy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people come up to me and say, oh, you know,
absolutely.
I don't have any energy. I feel like crap after work, and I'll just say it. I say, well, food is therapy. Food is medicine. So start there. And I mean, I might not be real nice about it, but when I have young, especially lights riders, they'll come up to me and say, hey, man, I need a list of supplements, you know, and I see Taco Bell bags in their car. I don't tell them anything. Like, I don't give them a supplement suggestion because it's just the focus is wrong there. It's not going to fix you going to Taco Bell every day. So I'm pretty, almost say I'm not nice about those when I do tell people that. Another thing that is kind of a common question I get, and my answer is, and again, it might be offensive to some people, but it's just my personal observation that the number one consumer of diet drinks is fat people.
You are correct. That's what I see.
I mean, I drink Diet Coke, but that was literally like just a complete taste preference. But I try to have 1 or 2 a day. I mean, that is literally my hardest vice, though. I've tried to give that shit up so many times. But you're absolutely right. I noticed that. I think
drink
just because
2 Diet Cokes a day, really?
Yeah. Why? Do you think I drink more? Do I look fat? Oh my God, am I getting fat?
Like, who buys the low fat soups and who buys the low fat processed foods?
It's the people that think they need to lose weight.
It's the people that don't do or anything to burn those calories off.
It's not. Andrew Short isn't buying anything low fat. Jason Anderson isn't buying anything low fat. Those Jimmy Albertson, they're buying fully fat-loaded food.
Well, shit, Jimmy Albertson's buying PBR for his buddy fucking Ronnie Mack. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're trying to make up for the fact that they're inactive. And that may be offensive to people, but that's the reality. Is they're trying to make up for the inactivity that they have.
Yeah, I think. It's good on what you said about the fat burning. Put the fat in, but you got to train your body to burn the fat, and by training your body to burn the fat, you have to train the body.
Dude, it's a huge jump. Like, it's a huge, leap of faith or whatever you want to call it. To most people as a trainer, for me to tell them that they need to eat more fat, it just sounds almost stupid. Like, it just doesn't sound right. But, I could give them studies, I could give them papers, I could give them books. But, most people that have known me for a while know me now as, wow, how'd you get so skinny? And I ate bacon. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That's what I did. I ate fat. Dude, if I got a piece of steak, I would eat all the fat. Like, I tracked my diet super closely, and I was 65% average, 65% of my calories from fat for the first 4 months.
But you cut down on the sugars dramatically, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't eat any sugar, like zero. Like, I was super hardcore for 4 months. Didn't eat any processed sugar. Was just like on it, like 100% committed to eating like that. And it was difficult. I'm not gonna lie, dude. It took a lot of time, a lot of effort on my part. But I lost 22 pounds, and I would say most of the people that looked at me said, "Wow, I didn't know you had 22 pounds to lose." And dude, I felt awesome. I was in my 40s and still riding bicycles with people like Andrew Short, basically professional athletes half my age is who I ride bicycles and lift weights. So I can't be dumb anymore. I got to be smart about it to extend my career. And I was just as shocked as anybody. Like I said, I was classically trained. I was told not to eat fat. I just got sick of reading studies and just went the opposite direction and get. It's like adjusting suspension. You don't know what's up. You just turn the compression screw all the way in just to feel it. Yeah. So that's what I did. And it just haphazardly, I was losing weight like crazy. And dude, especially running. I've never felt good running, but I felt good running, So that's how it started. I got to admit, dude, it's a huge leap of faith to most people.
Yeah. I think most people nowadays have been learning that sugars are the enemy, and processed sugars especially. I think there's enough of that in the news, and it's been coming out over the years that I don't think there's too many people that are going to argue that fact anymore.
I think it's too hard to make that leap of faith, though. I think in with what you're saying, you as a trainer, I think it's almost I think it's easier because of the fact that you're like you know how to mentally make a change, and you know how to mentally turn switches off. Where highly trained athletes know how to do that very well. They know how to block certain things where, we as people who maybe not be professional athletes and know how to turn off certain mental blocks and turn on certain mental blocks, it's harder than it would be for professional athletes to kind of say, all right, I'm going to just completely change it up. Because, we have a little bit more, I think, and it's not a knock on anybody. We're all there. We have a little bit more of a doldrum. You know, our life just kind of goes sometimes, and that's all of a sudden, you know, it may feel that same way for professional athletes. I do not know. Obviously, I am not one. But I think, you know, and I hate to just keep on, you know, kicking that nail with my hammer, but CrossFit did it for me, where it just like it turned me upside down a little bit and made me realize that there was just a lot that I was ignoring in my life, and how physical I wasn't, even though I was very physical. And so I think that a lot of people need to kind of make those big changes, like you're talking about. I think it's not just a physical change. You notice such a large mental change when you can decide to make this physical change and then mentally stick to it. You come out so much stronger.
I just want to add something.
Yeah,
I would say that for you know, a recreationally serious rider who gets on one of my online training programs, their number one excuse for, you know, everything from not doing the training to not eating healthy is basically time. They don't have enough time. It's 99% of the time that's the excuse for anything. Why did you eat crappy? I didn't have enough time to eat well. Why did you eat that? I didn't have time to go to the grocery store and cook it. Why didn't you do your training? I didn't have enough time. You know, why didn't you do mobility? I didn't have enough time. But if you really get down to it, and you know, and if they will allow you and you talk to them, you're like, okay, well, describe your day to me. This has just happened recently. I actually told Racer X this, and they thought it was funny. The guy was like, dude, my lawn's like, I got to mow my lawn, dude. It's Friday. And I had to mow my lawn before it got dark because then I wouldn't be able to mow my lawn. That's why I ate fast food on the way to mow my lawn, to go home to mow my lawn. That's why I didn't stop by the grocery store. Now I'm hosed because I can't eat well Saturday morning before my race, you know, basically because he had to mow his lawn before it got dark. And I just kind of cut him off, and I said, hey, man, do you know what a headlamp is? And he was like, no. I said, well, it's like, you know, I like to climb, so you get this light, and it goes on your forehead, and you can use your hand, and you can see. He's like, what's your point? I was like, dude, I'm going to bring you a headlamp so you can mow your lawn after it gets dark. And, dude, he just was, like, befuddled. He was like, it just, like, stopped him in his tracks, and he didn't have that excuse anymore.
He's like, but that was my excuse.
Yeah, but that worked
you're
so well
ruining
in my head.
But, like, if you interview people, and I have to do it quite a bit, and you're just like, hey, what did you do today? There's all these things that, for whatever reason, seem super important to do at a certain time. You know what I mean? And if you're going to claim to me, and, you know, you guys are probably hear this a lot, if you're going to pay the money and claim to me that your racing performance is important and is a high priority in your life, well, then act like it. You know, like, example.
You need to do something other than on race day. And I try to tell people that, my customers, that all the time. If you want to perform well on Sunday, then you need to do something the other 6 days of the week other than just Sunday.
You know, if racing is so important to you and you're going to get that upset that you don't perform well, we'll put that in its appropriate place on your priority list. Where is mowing the lawn on your priority list? Like, why is it superseding you going to the grocery store? Like, tell me, you know? And so you have those kinds of conversations. Like, people always ask, why do you take the first flight out to the race? You know, why do you get to the Supercross city so early on a Friday morning? Well, here's why. Because we go to Whole Foods. We have to find a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's or a store that has wholesome food, and we go out of our way to get it. Why? Because it's that important, you know? And it's just like, if you apply that to people, it's amazing that they'll place things that aren't that important above what they claim is important. You know, if it's not that important, hey, all the power to you. You know, if racing is 10th on your list and it's 10th on the list of the things you got to do, well, that's cool. But don't cheat yourself. You know, don't say it's, you know, second to your wife, kids, and it's third, you know, wife, kids, then racing, but then mow your lawn first. Like, that's not right, you know?
Yeah.
Well, my wife and I look at being healthy and eating right as a lot more than just how I perform on Sunday at the races.
It's how she performs Saturday night, too.
Well, yeah, that as well. But we look at it as we want to be, you know, healthy for a long time, and we want to enjoy life for a long time. And I feel like how we treat our bodies now is going to reflect on us a long way down the road. And we're preparing for that. We want to be healthy and live long, active lives. And I feel like all this is part of that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Like a lot of my younger guys in their 19, 20, I tell them quite often in the first couple of years of a relationship that I will fail them as a trainer if they're still not doing something active when they're 45. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. I told one of our Supercross guys this year, I said, when you're my age, I said, you're still gonna want to do active things. I said, you may not think about that now, because I didn't think about it when I was in my teens and early 20s. I was thrashing my body, and I didn't care. And now I'm paying the price for it. And I try to tell them, don't be like me. Think about this stuff now, and you will be so much better off when you get to be my age than I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm 5 weeks out today from a shoulder surgery, and the reason I had that shoulder surgery was from an accident that I didn't
slipped
think,
off.
Hey, it happens. It was from an accident that I just didn't think was that bad. So I didn't go to the doctor, and 3 years later I found out I've been walking around with a broken collarbone and a separated shoulder. So it's like, and one of the biggest things that actually got me into the doctor again was Kelly Starrett, because of one of his damn slogans, that's if it feels sketchy, it's sketchy.
It is sketchy, yeah.
And it's just like, what a fucking thought. Like, it's the simplest thing out there, but sometimes I think overthink things too much, and I'm just like, it's like, no, it's like I just had a motorcycle wreck. It's not that big a deal, but it's like, as you're saying, kind of, Brian, to like the fact that maybe I'm 30 now. I mean, I'm 33. I'm in my 30s, and I'm kind of going, well, 40's there. It's coming, at some point. But it's like if I don't start really taking care of some of these aches and pains now, then they're going to be debilitating by that point. But as well, we're saying CrossFit, mobility WOD. I'm just going to keep working that because it works. Work it. It's like AA. Not for alcoholics.
Yeah, but different.
Yeah, it's like AA, but different. It's like turning a wrench when you don't have a wrench.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to say again quickly thank to one of our sponsors, obviously Powersport Graphics. They are a fantastic graphics company from the East Coast. So ridepg.com is where you can find them on the internet. You can also tweet them if you'd like to. It's at ridepg. They supplied and helped us. Well, they helped us design and gave us a discount on. I should not say supplied because they did not give it to us for free, which is fine. I love paying for stuff. That's the way it works. That's how people make money. I think people lose that in this industry sometimes. But they helped us out a lot with when we did the 300 photo shoot last year. Got the bike from you guys over at SMS with a very fun discount because of the fact that we're awesome racers. We have a great, fantastic relationship. And then RidePG came in. We really worked together to create some awesome graphics and to create an awesome photo shoot. I think that those kind of relationships, as we've been talking about with a lot of our sponsors, are what really matters. And I think people lose that. They're kind of looking for who can give them the best deal. And though sometimes saving money really does mean a lot, I think there's something to be said about when you can email certain people, or you could just call up, your best friend or your good weekend buddy who happens to work at one of the better graphics company in the business. There's something to be said about that, and I like that those are the people that I, am in business with. So I definitely say thank you very much, Powersport Graphics, for your support of Seat Time. I think you guys should go check them out. So it's ridepg.com. Remember, if you go there, you can save 10% by using the discount code Seat Time off of anything that you order. You can save 40% if you use the ready-to-ship option, and you can have it shipped to you same day if you order it before 11 a.m. Eastern Time. All of those are pretty badass key points. I think everybody should listen to them again. I'm not going to say them again. They have a rewind button for that. All right, so we've talked about a lot of stuff. There's been some perspectives that have probably gone off into a little bit of what some people might feel like is a commercial, and I can call it out for myself on the CrossFit aspect of things. I think the diet thing is some things that people just, it is very, very hard. And until I know with CrossFit, until I got it, I didn't get it. That's, however that is.
The diet thing's not as hard as people think, though.
Yeah.
Once you just make a commitment, you find, an hour once a week to make it to the store and plan ahead. it honestly makes your week less expensive on what you're spending on food.
You can actually plan better that way too, because you kind of
it really it makes it easier. And I'm not saying that I'm a nutrition saint. I mean, I go through months where I'm horrible and my fitness sadly goes up and down. But right now, I just finished Supercross, and that was a big weight off my shoulders, and I'm not going to be traveling as much now. So now I'm putting my head down and getting everything straightened out again. I'm a normal guy, and I run a business, and yeah, sort of, kind of, but I run a business, and I'm a regular guy, and if you just find a little time and get after it, you'll find that after the first week, the diet's not that hard. It's really hard to get started, but once you get going, it's not as bad.
Consistency is key. So I think one of the big things, obviously, a lot of our listeners are off-road racers. Coach, how do we, as off-road racers and riders and such, take some of kind of the motocross mentality and some of the motocross training and things that we can find, I think, readily available on the internet to a degree, and really kind of maybe change little things that would apply differently to us as off-road racers?
I did train some people. I'm not familiar with, historically how GNCC guys, schedule their ride day. Some general things about riding is it's a very high skill level component. There's a very high level of skill involved. So it's not just a fitness thing. It's a skill thing. Almost, it might be more skill, So the point I'm getting at is, there's a point in the season, off season really, where the focus should be basically the muscular endurance required to ride the amount of time that you have to ride. So however long the race is, you first off need to be able to ride that long. And the speed that you do those efforts needs to be the fastest possible speed where you can maintain and make it to the end. But after that, after you get kind of that base level of riding fitness down, I've heard, and I don't personally know anybody that does this, but I've heard and I've read it on the internet and I've seen it in print, and I'm sure there's people who prescribe it, but there are people who ride based on an intensity level of, say, heart rate. So they'll actually ride their motorcycle based on heart rate, or maybe they ride their motorcycle based on some kind of feel. I feel like I'm going 8 out of 10. That to me is like practicing a bad golf swing. Because it has a very high nervous system, brain coordination, all these things, it's skill. You have to ride at your best speed. So that's a big thing that I run into with amateurs, is they've been taught somehow, I don't know how, but I'll see them at the track and they're basically, the kind of dumb logic way of saying it is, hey, if you're riding slower, what are you doing? You're getting better at riding slower. You know what I mean? It's like the dumb logic. Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot. Like, it's surprising. I don't know where people get that. Like, well, I was told to ride at 70% of my ability for 20 minutes. Okay, well, congratulations. You just got really good at riding at 70%. That's like I said. Okay, let's practice a not good golf swing or a not perfect golf swing. So, the more times you replicate the skill in the way that you want to perform it, the more it's going to become ingrained as a motor engram or a motor pattern, and then you won't have to think about it. It'll just be automatic. That's why you do drills. That's why you go to the driving range. That's why you need to ride your motorcycle at the speed, your best ability, as much as you can. I don't know if you guys have heard that. It's just I see it a lot with younger people. For whatever reason, they're at the track motoring around at 70%. It's like, dude, no. If you can only ride
WFO, bitch.
I know that. I know just from the same thing. I've done a lot over the years, just like you have, of experimenting with myself. And even when I'm preparing for 2-hour-long races, I find the best way for me to prepare is to actually run sprint motos on the days that I ride. I run sprint motos. I try to run at the best of my ability. And I find that reflects better on my riding come the weekend in the 2-hour race than going out and doing any kind of lower paced, lower intensity riding. That
I do know where it comes from. It comes from people reading about training on, say, cycling, which is a low skill level. It's just a repeated gross movement, And those people, yes, you do train by heart rate. It's a totally different thing. There's no skill involved. The people who win bike races is purely on fitness,
And the people who win motorcycle races, it's fitness and high skill level.
Yeah. So it's a very different animal. Like, motocross is a skill sport, and you need to practice your skill, And to me, and I would say it's probably more applicable the higher up you go in ability level. The skill, to me, at the higher ability level, supersedes fitness. Like, if you're rolling out of the off season and your fitness is not where you planned it to be, at some point you make a decision that, okay, well, this is what I got. So I'm going to roll into the season with this fitness level because the skill is going to take over now. Like, I have to work on my skill. And I think that's a super important thing, that if you're competitive at all, you can't. I know people talk about training all the time, and I feel bad for the riding instructors, actually, because the media, the interviews of, Alden Baker, blah, 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 trainer to the stars. You never hear about the guy who's teaching the skill, if there is a guy even. Like, think about it. How many amateur motocross riders have a trainer versus how many amateur motocross riders have a skill coach? The answer would be about 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also draw a parallel to mental training. How much, again, cycling, very different animal. Basically it's your fitness level and how much you're willing to suffer. Very simple. Very simple. What's the mental part of that? Mental toughness. That's it. Motocross is very different. High skill. It's scary. People get hurt. Kids see other kids get paralyzed. It's like a serious thing. So there's a very high mental component as well. Same question. How many of these B-class riders have some kind of trainer? Lots of them. How many B-class riders have a skill coach? 0. How many B-class riders have a mental coach? Freaking 0. So those, I think, are very overlooked even in recreationally competitive athletes. How much is your brain game a part of your outcome? What percentage? Give it a percentage. Is 10% of your result at the weekend race due to your mental state? Okay, well, did you put 10% of your energy that training week into your mental state? The answer is going to be no. So those are kind of things that people overlook, I think, if they don't have the luxury of having a trainer standing by them all the time.
Absolutely.
So we all need to start our own company so that we can essentially just work 3 days a week and train the rest of the time, and we'll just swap it out. I think that's going to have to happen.
Yeah. But, dude, like, think about the starting line. Like, you guys do these woods races, and what's your mental state at the starting line? Like, if you could
I'm attempting to not shit my pants.
Yeah, so people are scared.
Like,
dude, I guarantee you there's a high percentage of people, I guess I can't guarantee it, but I guarantee you there are some people who are not wanting to be there. You know what I mean? Like, they got talked into it, or, they got a million excuses. It's too hot, my bike sucks, whatever. It's like the totally wrong. I mean, why would you expect a good result?
Yeah. I think, like, for myself, like, personally, like, I've kind of left, like, trying to win behind. I'm an A rider. I hope to always be an A rider. It's been a hell of a fun run. I'm never going to be faster. And when I get there, great. But, like, I always now, when I'm at the line, I'm like, all right, I've gotten here for a reason. Let's go have fun. Because that's the way I'm at. It's like, I've realized now that I have the mental aptitude that the things I do in life now are going to make sure that I continue to enjoy life the rest of my life. That's why I had my surgery. That's why I train the way I do. That's why I eat the way I do, and I have fun the way that I do. So I think I'm completely 110% content with where I'm at with that, and I think some people aren't.
You're still a competitor, though. I still see that you care about how you do in the races, and I still see that.
I get pissed when I don't. Yeah, I know. It's hard to not though, but like at the end of the day, as long as I performing well versus enjoying your ride is kind of where I draw the line. And it's one of those days where I have a shitty day and I didn't have any fun and I performed like shit. Then it's just like, ugh. But when I come off the day and I'm like, you know what? All right, yeah, sure, I got 6. There was 12 people. I got mid-pack in the AA class or A class or whatever series I'm in. But then I go, you know what? Oh, my gosh. I remember when I screamed going down that downhill because it was such a badass those are the things that make me still want to get out there and get on the line and kind of twist the throttle a little more than I probably am comfortable with.
I would say that when you have fun at the races is a lot like when I have fun at the races. I find that when I'm in better physical condition and I'm better prepared for the race, regardless of what place I finish in, if I've been able to ride hard and
put it away wet
to the well, to a good point of your ability, you're going to go away feeling really good and feeling like that was a great race.
Yes. Remember, we're athletes. Doesn't make a difference if you race. You're a C-class hero, as Jamie Aikens likes to put it. This is a very physical, demanding sport. There has been... I personally can't tell you the amount of knowledge that we've talked about tonight. I will have to listen to this again. There is so much good stuff in here. Listen to it over and over and over again. I'm going to let Coach tell you guys about all the places that you can get in touch with him for all of his programs. As well, I'm going to let Brian talk to you guys about all the places that you can get in touch with him. And I'll talk to all the places you can get in touch with us. Please, listen to this as much as you want. Take it for what it's worth. There's a lot of fantastic content in there. And get in touch with these guys. So, Coach, people can find you on the internet. They can find you all kinds of other crazy places in Texas at the races. Tell us how they can find you on the internet and where they can do that so that they can, hit you up with questions, maybe even a couple contracts to be athletes of yours.
Sure. My website is Coach Seiji. It's CoachSeiji.com.
All right.
My Twitter is the same thing, Coach Seiji. I get a lot of questions on there, one word. Facebook is actually my name. It's Seiji is my first name. Ishii is my last name. It's Ishii. I am located in Texas from February until October. I'm about an hour southeast of Austin. I do go to Austin for training. I have that CrossFit box in Bastrop. We use my tracks here at my place. We use tracks at Shorty's place. We use local tracks. I do go to almost every race. I went to every Supercross race. You can find me most of the time with Andrew Short in the BTO Sports Pits. I am going to Hangtown, and I'm expecting my first child on June 4th. So,
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take a couple weeks off for that. But then after that, I should be back at the races. So feel free to stop by. Andrew is also very open to answering training questions himself. He does it quite a bit. And, I'd love to talk to anybody about training. And, even if you disagree with me, if you've got some intelligent things to say, I'm more than happy to listen. So
I love that.
Yeah.
He wants intelligent things, people.
Yeah.
Don't. It's not rhetoric. We don't want to hear rhetoric. We want to hear intelligent conversation and thoughts. So that means I probably won't hit him up with much. So
Yeah, you're out.
Well, I can tell you right now, I have a 9-month-old and a 7-year-old. It's a good thing that you're as healthy as you are, because holy shit, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
I'm not a guy. I don't know how to say it. You guys don't know me, but I'm not a scared guy. I like to go climbing. I like to ride dirt bikes. Things don't. I'm not afraid of, say, personal injury. Like, it's an afterthought. It's always, oh shit, I got hurt. Damn it, that was dumb.
You're someone who likes to live life.
Yeah, but dude, this kid thing, man, it just got me gripped, and I don't know what's wrong. It's like I'm struggling with I don't think I'm going to be a bad dad. It's just okay. I was climbing last weekend, and you're scrambling around, and every once in a while you fall. And I was like, well, wow, okay, if I had a kid strapped on my back, I'd have just crushed his skull. It's like that, I'm
Yep.
like, okay, how am I going to do this? Okay, so I'm at the track. I guess these are dumb questions. It's just because I'm inexperienced. I just haven't thought about it. I only got a couple weeks to go, but it's like, huh. well, how am I going to moto at the track? You just can't, like my dog, I just tie him up in the back of my truck.
Yeah, you can't do that with your kid. Well,
yeah,
for
so
long.
It's those things that like,
But
they
10-minute
hit
motos
me
or
every
30
once in
minutes?
a while. I'm like,
Well,
damn.
I think we can work out an agreement where you can be my, like, nutritionalist, and I can be your, like, life coach. I think a lot of people will tell you that I'm experienced and that I have a lot to give.
It only gets worse with the kid thing. It's almost like they have a mind of their own.
Oh, wait. Damn it. That's what I always liked. That's what I always liked about dirt bikes more than riding horses. The dirt bike doesn't decide that it wants to stop at any point in time. Where the horse, it's like, fuck you, I'm done.
Yeah.
So, but all right, Brian, obviously very experienced young man in the state of Texas and all over the place with everything that he's been doing. So where can we find you on the internet, or if you're in Denton, Texas?
smsracing.net. Or just come by the store in Denton. So we're on Highway 377, just west of I-35.
Yeah, just west of the
But yeah, check out the website. Come visit us and send me an email. The orange bleeder at smsracing.biz. That's the email that goes directly to me. And I work with people every week on. I do lessons out at our private track. I do a lot of bike training. We do a lot of suspension testing and motor testing, and I'm one of the few teams out there in Supercross that we're building motor suspension, the whole bike ourselves. If you live in Texas, there's no reason to go to someone outside the state. We can build it. We can build top 10 Supercross stuff right here at home. And if you got something we need to sort out, we can go out to our private track and sort it out.
I like it. So there it is, smsracing.net. Bring all your cool shit there. They want to work on it and make you even more cool. That's like a new slogan.
More cool.
More cool.
More cool. Let's just
like,
keep it simple. We'll just be MC.
Well, it's,
it'll just stands for more
like
cool now.
Monotassinari. Like, what is it? Because we suck better, so you suck less, or we blow better, so you suck less. It's all about air intake.
They're putting it together. That's good stuff there.
I don't know. That's just what
How much did they pay their marketing team for that?
No, they didn't. That's just I was emailing them back and forth, and I was like, "Oh, you guys should use this." And they sent me a bunch of slogans. They were like, "These would be awesome to use," but we decided that they're stupid and we can't. And so I might have just given away their entire marketing
political
plan for
correctness.
2014. That's okay. Well, so what you've been watching, paying attention to, maybe cursing, I don't know, is Seat Time. Like we said, we're a weekly show. We come up every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. when we go live. You can check us out at seattime.co if you're on our website. Of course, if you're on Facebook, we're on facebook.com/seattime. And if on Twitter, if you'd like to tweet us real hard there, it is twitter.com/seattime_co. We'll have to change it up a little bit. And then, of course, Instagram, it's just Seat Time. And any other social media out there, you just find it's just Seat Time. Stitcher, you can search for Seat Time. Of course, iTunes, you can search for Seat Time. Listen to us while you're on the races. Like we said, man, we'd love all your comments, anything you guys think about the show, what you like, what you don't like, maybe what color Brian's hair should be next time.
Interesting.
So, Coach, we really, really appreciate your time. We obviously took up way more time than we thought we would, but when you kind of have that much good stuff to say, we just can't cut you off.
We just keep rolling.
I appreciate it, man. It was a good time, and hit me up anytime.
I love it. Well, don't tell us that because we will show up at your doorstep.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Remember, guys, this is Seat Time. If nothing else, always enjoy a pint full of awesome. I'll see you next Tuesday.